welcome into another edition of the West Tennessee Sports Podcast here on JacksonSun.com. I am high school sports writer, columnist Brandon Shields here with high school sports reporter Michael Odom for the Jackson Sun with one last podcast for basketball season. We may still do one more after state tournaments are done, but definitely one more this week. As we're going into the boys' state tournament, girls' tournament is out of the way. It actually got out of the way pretty quickly for Rural West Tennessee. First time in 27 years.
1990.
Yeah, since anyone made it past the state quarterfinals. But it's a new week, a new tournament, and pretty high expectations. Only two teams remaining from the area in boys basketball, but one of those programs won a state championship 4 years ago. The other one won one 2 years ago. So recent history suggests we could see some success this week for Haywood and Humboldt as Haywood plays in the Class AA tournament, Humboldt in the Single A. Michael, you will be there for every bit of the tournament for both of these teams, however long they last. Before we get into talking specifics and stuff, just kind of tell me about just kind of what you think about both of these teams going in. I mean, obviously, if they're still playing, they're playing good ball, so let's not ask that question. That's kind of dumb. But my apologies to anybody who's asking that question. It's not, but it is. Anyways, but just kind of what's you saw Humboldt in the sectional game against Middleton. What's working for them right now?
I mean, I think that they have a lot of depth. And that is definitely what's helped Humboldt to this point is they're not relying on one player. They've got about 7 that could go off for 15 to 20 points in any given game. And so I think that really makes them very, versatile as a team. And so you can have Jared Walker. If Jared Walker's having an off night, you've got Anthony Jones underneath, or you've got Cortland Martin doing his thing, and that just has made Humboldt very versatile and a tough team to beat.
Yeah, and thinking back to 2013 when they did win state, obviously none of these kids were in high school that year, 4 years ago, but they had, like you said, there's not one or two guys that they depend on to be successful. That team in 2013 didn't either. I mean, it had its stars. It had DeSante Bradford. It had Stephen Turner. It had, help me out with a couple more names here. Okay, they had those two. But there was like 4 or 5 guys that could help out any given night. So obviously having that kind of depth does help in this situation. But how much is it going to help against this field of the other 7 teams in the tournament? I mean, obviously they got Knoxville Grace on Thursday, 1:15 tip-off.
Now I've heard that Grace is very tall, but they've got like 3 guys over 6'5". That they are very big, so that I think rebounding is going to be a big thing for Humboldt. They've got 3 guys averaging over 5 rebounds. So, this is a team they were here last year. They played in the quarterfinals, lost to Van Buren County. Humboldt's a team that has 4 players scoring in double figures, to where Knoxville Grace has 3, with one guy. They got one that's averaging 17.8, one 15.1. So this is going to be a team that's experienced up there. But I think Humboldt's press is going to probably give them some problems. Humboldt's depth, if Humboldt's able to use their quickness, those are things I think Humboldt can use to their advantage in this game.
Let's go back to last week and just kind of see what that experience, kind of get your thoughts on what that experience against Middleton, how that could possibly help them this week, because they won in overtime. They wouldn't have had that opportunity had the made free throw that got negated by a call by the referee actually counted. But fortunately for the Vikings, it didn't count. But they gave up an 11-point lead late in the game that allowed Middleton to get back into it and have a shot at winning. what do you think about just kind of? Do you think Ron Abernathy, their head coach, and his coaching staff, do you think that they've been kind of harping, hey, don't, just because you got a lead, don't get too comfortable at any point this week?
Yeah, you can't let up. I mean, you can't underestimate any team up there, because if you do, you'll be coming home. They're going to have to go up there and play 3 games of their best basketball, and they have that high level of play. They beat a AAA Cordova team.
Memphis
Central. They've beaten some very good teams this year, and that's the level that they're going to have to play for 3 games. I mean, basically, that Christmas tournament they played in was Poplar Bluff, their lone loss, right. Cordova and Memphis Central in 3 games. Mm-hmm. That's really, they're going to have to play that good for 3 games like they did over Christmas.
They're coming into this tournament 31-1. They're undefeated against teams from the state of Tennessee. They are a missed buzzer beater shot against Poplar Bluff away from being 32-0 going into this tournament. And I think it's a very understandable question asking, because we had Coach Abernathy on our radio show this week, and I asked him about just kind of, how do you make sure that your kids don't get overconfident going into this tournament? And he said that's one of the main things that I focus on, and we just try to keep focusing on what we have going on at that point, whether it's Peabody or Halls in the region tournament, Middleton in the sectional, choose a insert name of any kind of opponent in the regular season, or Knoxville Grace in the state tournament. But yeah, there's a lot of, I know there's last week in Murfreesboro for the girls tournament, we would be talking to sports writers from around the state, looking ahead to this week, and pretty much everybody's already got a Humboldt-Mitchell matchup penciled in, as if they're filling out their Class A bracket challenge. Not that there's that going on, but that's kind of the expected championship matchup. So we'll find out Thursday and Friday if that's going to happen. Moving to AA now, Haywood outlasted Southside last week in a sectional matchup in a game that I went and covered, and it was I was thoroughly impressed with the way Tristan Jarrett played, and Dedrick Boyd coming back from his injury. It was his first game in 6 weeks since he, I guess it was a partial tear of his meniscus, MCL, one of those things in his knee, and rehabbed it. Worked his way back in. Didn't start the game, but came in a couple minutes into the game, provided a spark, finished with 14 points, had a quality game for them. One question I had going in to that game, and even Greg Van Story, their radio guy, Haywood's radio play-by-play man, we were wondering, they're 10-1 without him, and that one loss came soon after the injury. How, will this kind of mess up any chemistry that may have developed since the injury, but that didn't seem to be the case.
I don't know. I kind of expected them to beat Southside a little by a little bigger margin. Mm-hmm. Part of that is the fight of Southside. Southside was not going to give up, and they were going to put their best game out there. But that's what Haywood's got to look forward to on Thursday, is another tough game against Brainerd. This is going to have to. Haywood's going to have to continue to play well. Now that Boyd's got his first game under him, hopefully, he's had a week to practice, a week to get stronger, a week of getting that stamina back, and so hopefully he can come in and be another element to their offense. And it's going to be tough for Brainerd to try and scout Haywood,
right?
Because you look at anything recently, and you're not going to see Boyd at all. Mm-hmm. Even that Southside game, he probably wasn't to the level he was right before the injury.
Right, yeah. I mean, he came in with 2 minutes left. He was involved, but he wasn't, directing things, wasn't, the integral axle on the wheel that he would have been this time in January.
But you go too early, and that's before Haywood peaked. That's before you're going to see a different Tristan Jarrett on the court earlier in the season. And Marquiston Douglas, a freshman center, didn't hardly play. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to try and take pieces from different parts of the season and try and figure them out. And I think that's an advantage Haywood has is they're not really scoutable right now.
Yeah. That's pretty good analysis right there. And let me ask you, I mean, obviously Brainerd's in Chattanooga. We don't cover Brainerd. But they're the defending state champions. Just kind of from the stats that you've been able to find out about, does this look like a team that's tough enough to repeat this year?
I mean, they've got 3 players averaging double figures. They're led by a guy named Jesse Walker, who's averaging 17.3 points, 8.3 rebounds. So obviously they're going to have to look to him and try and shut him down. He's big. He's going to be a big body around the basket. So he's not going to be one that is easily going to go down. Haywood's going to have to. Douglas is probably going to match up with him underneath. Mm-hmm. So Douglas is going to have to play a good game to try and slow him down in that game. He is 6'4". They got 2 6'4" guys, a couple 6'3". So this is not a small team. But this is not the same team that won the state title last year. They were runner-up in their district. They won their region title game by 4. They had an easier sectional game going to Livingston Academy, where they're usually favored. So, I mean, this is going to be a different Brainerd team, and you can't go in thinking, all right, this is your defending, this is... But, Brainerd made the state title game last year. They didn't win it. They lost to Fulton by 9 in that
my bad.
game.
My bad.
But, this is still a very good Brainerd team. So, this will be a tough one for Haywood to crack.
All right, well, we got about 2.5 minutes left here. Just kind of, first off, I have to ask you this question. If you go up there on Thursday and you cover 2 West Tennessee losses, and West Tennessee goes a combined 0-6 in Division I state tournaments this year, how's that going to affect your health?
I covered 1 win, USJ girls.
I said Division I. That's why I said Division I.
I'll hang my hat on that 1 win, though. I'll still be able to. It's not a complete jinx.
Yeah.
No, maybe I'll have to go get a new haircut or change my underwear and burn the old pairs.
Did you really just admit that you haven't changed your underwear all
No,
basketball
I've changed
season?
them.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe I need to change the brand. Maybe we'll go that way.
There you go. I really can't believe this discussion went in that direction, but whatever. Let's change it. All right, so 1:15 on Thursday for Humboldt. What time does Haywood play?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Bright and early. That's why Tristan Jarrett's been complaining a little bit on Twitter about having to get up and have some early practices. And it's like, well, you're going to have to get used to it because that 10 a.m. on Thursday is going to come. And, you got to be playing at your best.
Dude, you just wake up at 7, eat you some ham, or eat you some bacon, some eggs, some jelly, maybe a pancake. Then you get through eating by like 7:30. Maybe take a walk to digest it some. Then 2 hours later, you're playing basketball.
I think it's a little different than that, but okay. Simplified version by Brandon Shields.
I'm just saying that's what I do. But it sounds like a good day to me.
And yeah, I'm sure Dancy. Why don't you call Dancy and fill him in on what you do to win a state title?
That's a good idea. I think I'll just kind of let him know my thoughts on that because I'm sure he's laying awake at night wanting to know what I would do. But anyways, all right, so both teams will have had 10 days off. Hopefully that was a chance for them to get some injuries healed up, get their legs back underneath them after a rough patch of some tough games. Good luck to both teams this week as they get started in the state championship. If you're heading over, drive safe and watch out for law enforcement on the way. See y'all later.